otherwise known as Helios.
Helios is making.
So in that case, let's hear some singing.
No comprehendo. You guys, por favor.
It's an interesting hour, isn't it?
I got a monster before I came on air, which I usually do, but I'm kind of tired of goofy. I'm goofy tonight.
So, what's new?
Besides everybody was going to have a fight this week, oh my God. Nothing.
I hear you.
Like, everybody's angry, they want to put everybody else down, they want to... I had some dude in the Walmart parking lot, for whatever reason, they're doing 10 miles an hour, people. He slams on his brakes, pulls into the gas station there at Walmart, jumps out and starts screaming at me. I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. I don't know if he thought I was like that, or I don't know what his problem was, but he was nuts. He said red man coming back in his vehicle. I'm sure he was drinking and being stupid.
You gotta get him something, right?
So he had a burn on it. Dumbass right on the forehead.
Well, it seems to be a theme going on lately.
Yeah, well, everybody's going to fight lately. I don't know if it's the moon is in the cosmos of the triangular square of the Mars, rectophilia or something. I don't know what the hell's going on, but everybody's looking behind me. I'm just trying to squirrel present.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's not just, road rage type stuff. And sometimes we talk a little bit about what's going on in the paranormal community, and it seems to be rampant right now.
It does seem to be rampant. I was like, okay, my question on paranormal community, why do you want to put down another group just because they don't maybe believe what you believe, or aren't kicking your ass, or anything? I can guarantee you that these people that are sitting behind their computer having their little heyday would never talk to me like that in my face. So I would feel more comfortable if you just leave everybody alone and just be nice. Because you really start to piss me off.
You don't want to see them mad.
No, you don't. I don't get mad very easy. When I do, it ain't pretty. So how about we just stop the madness and move on?
Yeah, I mean, the paranormal movement is great, and it's great in theory, but it seems like the more people try to talk about unity, the more there are other people who want to be para-Nazis.
Yeah, and they think they got to rule everybody. Like, they're in charge of everybody's lives. Most of these people, the ones that I've seen that are doing it, number one, they don't do anything else. They don't have jobs. They just sit on the internet all day. And they try to find things that they think they can exploit in other people. That's BS. That's not how you treat people. That's crap.
If you can't do something positive and build yourself up,
Right.
What are you worth?
Paranormal Science Lab, Lisa, myself, anybody associated with this group is not attack people in any shape or form. We don't even respond when you post that kind of crap on our page. It's really simple, and it doesn't cause us any heartburn.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's nothing else. It's more amusing than anything.
It is amusing, and it's almost pathetic in a way that people, they don't have the ability to, find their own way. They gotta put other people down to make themselves feel better. I don't understand that. I really don't at all. So I got to work too, and I'm focusing better.
Yeah, but I mean, there's people like that and everything. But I think that, there's great things about social media and the internet, etc. You can find out so much, you can learn so much, you can do a lot, but it also gives people this false sense of authority, of power.
Yeah, people think that just because they have 10,000 quote-unquote followers on Facebook, that they have some sort of like pull in any sort of community. I don't consider, there's 7-8 billion people in the world. 10,000 is a drop in my snot. I mean, it's not even worth my time, really. I mean, honestly, you get a million people, following you, and we'll talk some business, but 10,000, I mean, it's nothing. And I applaud you for your success, but you don't need to try to ruin everybody else's lives, because you think you got some sort of sway. King, prince. You're not president of anything except for your own delusion. So you really don't mean a whole lot to me, honestly. And you make me giggle. I want to give you a pet squirrel. With Brady. I mean, hey, look now. Forget that.
Okay. So it's, I guess the lesson there is that we would act a little more like the adult, there's a thought behind Terra Unity, just trying to get along. And how about an intelligent adult discourse instead of trying to dictate and control people?
Yeah, make sure that's conducted.
Because you know what? Nobody out here has all the answers.
Nobody.
And there's no way that someone sitting behind a computer somewhere on the West Coast knows everything that they're studying they know. That being said,
honestly, the exciting thing is really nothing exciting. They were probably investigation around it.
just to do a sort of site and
history of the history. So that's pretty interesting. It seems actually very interesting. I have never got to do there yet. So
yeah, I'm interested to see what you get there, because there's a lot of different things going on with the third building on the
yeah, but the history is like it's drawn out. And then I remember stories as a kid. My grandpa was telling me, my mom was telling me about the buildings across the street that were brothels or whatever. There were the monsters getting in the own today and had hamburgers and fries and food. And I got
I think that's the endorser for Mojo's.
Mojo's Burger, where you can have a mustache and smile.
Digress.
I did nothing. I didn't know what that address means.
Oh, very good.
I like candy.
Thank you. That's pretty good.
Oh. And you're indicating too. A little cute, you must have. After I told you a little cute one.
So, have you seen that? Speaking of allegations, this is a little bit concerning. Apparently, public allegations of making up readings have been made against Teresa Caputo.
Really?
Yes.
That doesn't sound like
And, I have no information on it or anything like that, but, I just don't see, I don't see the point. In the end, if you are making things up or whatever it's going to now.
Well, I think what happens is, and I'm, again, you're making a buck, go for it. I'm down. But when you put yourself on a spot like that, on a TV show, and a TV show is all about you and your reading, you put yourself into a situation where, as a spirit talker, you may not always give. So, I know there's times that I don't get crap, and it's like, you're kind of putting yourself in a bad spot when you're going to produce, and if you don't produce, you lose your show,
Right.
So it becomes a situation where and I've heard about this happening in paranormal world too. Paranormal investigations, people making up stuff and trying to produce quote-unquote evidence. Really, and that's what happens in this type of situation. I think part of that is the show put so much pressure on them to have evidence, and that's not how it works. You can't force evidence.
And that's the thing is, I think that people get too scared of not having something, instead of sometimes you're saying, there isn't anything, or didn't get anything.
Yeah, got nothing.
That goes a lot towards credibility and respectability.
I mean, just because you have personal experiences doesn't mean that you're going to actually give them evidence.
Right. So, I mean, obviously to see those things, and
I personally don't know why you if you call me at 100, 100 big psychic.
$1.
$1, $3.99. Just for my empty hand, sorry.
You pay extra for that.
You say, that's $6.99. Yeah, baby. You go $5.99, you go $19.99.
Are you sure that's not your Larry the Fever guy?
Maybe it's delivering.
Well, we should have our guest calling in here at any time.
Who's our guest?
Rick Kueber.
Yeah, I read about him today. What I read was a brief excerpt from his book, and I was like, that had me slack.
Yeah. I think it would be interesting. I'm really...
What I read was about, being strung up and burned, and I'm like, I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, it doesn't look like this happened. And I want to know that I haven't read his book. I mean, I just hadn't gone around to it yet. And I'm definitely reading it, and I'm definitely interested. In fact, I was going to buy it.
And that's Forever Ash.
Yeah, Forever Ash. He's got another one coming out there pretty soon. Forever Ash is the new one's like down.
Woo! It should be really involved. Yeah, so I'm really excited.
Forever Ash? No, it's not Forever Ash. It's Childish. Is that Forever Ash?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. What's the new one? I'm thinking it's just Forever Ash. That's what I get from thinking.
Yeah, it's something, there's Eternity of Spirit or something like that. I don't have it in front of me, so
What's your notes? You're a lawyer. You have like a legal pad. I don't know where she pulled the legal pad out. Sometimes I drink wine. Just pull it out. I have a legal pad with like all the questions on it. Yeah, that sounds kind of similar.
I like that.
You should have been like,
There's a couple of rocks. You need to get out of the for Jerry.
yeah. He's going to be shot in all his teeth. You ever seen that movie? You've never seen 95 Hot Holy Grail?
Yes, I did.
How do you not? Like, that's like the whole time of that movie ever.
That's a poison drive.
That's a good one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the one I did watch one.
Hello? Hello?
Rick?
Yes.
Hi,
Rick.
this is Lisa.
It's John.
Hi, guys. Here at the court.
I'm sorry?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. There's a little bit of an echo there for a minute, so I was having a hard time understanding that.
Is it better now?
It is, yes.
Good, good.
People are very I want to change on a lumberjack. I don't wear plaid, I'm sorry. I do. But I have a big beard, so I almost require me to wear plaid.
Wait, you look for the lumberjack.
Yeah. I'm fine.
Yeah. So, Rick, we were discussing a minute ago, there's your book, and Jonathan, you read an excerpt.
So I read an excerpt from your book, and I'm thinking, there's no way that this happens this day, right? I mean, and I'm sorry, I haven't read the book yet, but I am planning on buying it when I get home. And yeah, I want to read just after the excerpt. So the excerpt, by the way, on Amazon is excellent.
Oh, thank you.
I'm like,
there's a little more to the book than just the excerpt.
I'm like, this guy's changed up filter for burning. I mean, I'm looking at you, I'm like, he doesn't look burnt. So,
No.
I mean, what happened there? What's the story?
This story is really based around the haunting of a family, and they were haunted by the spirit of a little girl who was burned as a witch when she was only about 9 or 10 years old. So the excerpt that you read was actually sort of like her story, not my personal story. Also, yeah. So I've never actually physically been on fire.
Good shit like it. I was like, that's an excellent documentary to just get back in shape after that man.
Yeah, it was well previous to that. They've all been photoshopped.
Yeah, that's, basically, the man with no face, the movie that's not just, it was based about Rick.
There you go. There you go.
You're a good looking guy, strong, manly boy. But, I didn't think you'd be fine for that.
Yeah.
So give the listeners a little background for the haunting as far as context. When did this burning take place?
The girl actually lived in the late 1800s. So it was actually a long time after the witch trials and things like that. But she was sort of well, let's just say she was different. I don't want to give too much of the story away, but she was a little different, I guess, and was a bit of an outcast in the small rural community that she lived in with her father. And there was a radical church sect that labeled her as this demon child or a witch, and eventually I think the father actually broke and allowed them to perform this burning ritual like they would have back in the 1700s in Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. So the father actually was involved in it then?
Yes, as best we can tell. He either was involved or allowed it to happen, from what we could gather.
Wow.
That's because she was a little different.
I'm sorry?
So they just assumed she was a witch because she was a little different?
Yeah, I think there was several things surrounding her birth and her short life that they either accused her of or blamed her for, things of that nature. I don't know if she was really maybe a gifted child or something. I don't know. There are some theories and explanations in the book. Once again, I hate to give too much away. I try to make it intriguing, but I don't want people to know the whole story because then it kind of deters them from picking the book up and actually reading into details. I will say it was a surprise event as far as our involvement. I was contacted by a woman who, she and her sister, their father passed away and of old age. They were actually 40s and 50s at the time. Don't know how old the dad was, but the woman who contacted me, they had inherited this property that was in another state. They didn't even know it was that their father owned it or it was in the family. and her daughter went out to see the property and to take care of some legal documents and stuff to get the title transferred over. And that's when they started having these experiences, and that's when we were called in. The story takes several very unusual twists and turns, and I can say that it's probably, and I'm not trying to take anything away from my second book, but it's probably the most intriguing and honestly frightening experiences with the paranormal I've ever had.
What did you experience yourself?
I actually was visited by the spirit in the middle of the night during a storm. I woke up because of a lightning flash and thunder that was really close to where I was at. It woke me up from a dead sleep, and I saw something that just, of course I was half awake. I saw something in the corner of my room that just didn't belong. And the longer I looked, it looked like a little child standing there. And then after a few seconds, the lightning hit again, and I could see it was this girl, and just in a split second, it went from this beautiful little 9-10-year-old child with blonde hair to this literally a charred figure in the corner of my room, and I literally jumped and fell out of bed at this point. I turned on the light and just stood there staring in the corner, which there was nothing there. But needless to say, I didn't sleep anymore that night. In fact, I left the light on the rest of that particular night. It was one of the most, honestly, that was one of the most frightening experiences that I had. There was another experience where I actually had a very realistic dream, if you will. But I really felt like I was on fire. I was like in the middle of this room, and the whole place was on fire. And the memory, it was like I actually could feel the sensations of being on fire.
So, Rick, did this happen at the location? Or did this happen at your house?
These two incidences actually happened in my residence.
Wow.
Yeah. And the spirit of this little girl actually visited several of my team members in other locations besides the haunted location. We really think that that this property, this house, was abandoned after this incident occurred, and we think that maybe her spirit was trapped there until this woman's sister and niece went to the home, and we think that they brought the spirit back with them. And from that point, we were all kind of plagued with it until we went back to the house, which, like I said, that was a couple states away. We actually made a couple of visits there. Ended up bringing a psychic medium along with us to help out and actually even a minister. But it ended up being a really phenomenal case. And there's been times since then when we can't help but question whether the same little spirit is still visiting. And sometimes it's on an investigation. I've been on investigations where there was nothing happening, and just one of those places where it's not really haunted. You're just there to kind of pacify someone who's asking for help. So you go in there to find out what's really going on, what they're really experiencing, and just try to put their mind at ease. And then then we'll have some sort of an interaction or an experience that we can kind of almost pinpoint today in this one particular spirit, because she has some very peculiar and very particular means of communication. Once again, I'm trying not to get too much of the book away, so I'm trying to keep it a little bit of a mystery there.
Well, no, that's fine. No, I don't want you to give away because I'm looking forward to buying them.
Well, it's a fairly easy read from what I've been told, but it's very good. I've got nothing but good reviews on it. So there's nothing you shouldn't have to get the Webster's out and look up too many big words or anything.
That I can't read it. I work with Lisa once a week. You know, I have to, every time she talks, I have to get it out.
Hey, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's not dreadful. I've heard this word. I have no idea what that means.
He's picking on me tonight, Norm.
Just tonight?
Well, no, it's usually a daily thing. But
Yeah.
I can kind of gather that already.
Let's do on the same wavelength, sir.
You didn't say that.
I'm very interested in coming.
I think you just need to say that. So, Rick, do you think the little girl knows that she passed?
Yes, I think that she knew, but I think because of her young age and the way that it happened, I think she was confused as far as how to pass or how to cross over. And I also think that she had a lot of probably confusion, animosity, and anger, and things of that nature that I don't know if she chose to say, or if all those things, all those emotions and things played into her not crossing over. But I really believe that she knew that she had passed.
If she was really rich, she made it to nothing to never admitted.
Of course,
She had that one fingernail, did she have one fingernail?
that's an inside joke. we had a demonologist from Ireland tell us on a show that you can always tell a witch they have to have long fingernails.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I just took mine today. So I'm not a witch. It's proven.
Right, I got short nails, you can't strip anything.
Well, as you were telling the story, it made me, and I'm sure John has probably thought about the same location that we investigated that we had. Yeah, there would be an apartment here in Joplin, Missouri that there's a spirit there that went through an explosion, and it seems pretty apparent that he doesn't know that he's passed. And so, I was kind of curious if she seemed to be in the same situation or not. So, and he's seen in other buildings as well. And so,
Yeah, he's actually seen in the house. Of course, the house itself has some history to the area. It's the oldest house in Murfreesboro. I would say that's wrong. And he's been seen in that house by the lady currently.
but it's just the yards from where the
Yeah, you can actually, in fact, we went over there in the restroom during the investigation on that. I thought, well, listen, so, I mean, there's some history there that, I'm sure you probably knew about that, or,
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I think he made it be wondering, but the description of you seeing her in the bedroom made me think of that because he appears to people and appears usually between 4 and 5 a.m. about the time of the explosion, and he'll appear burned and charred. And so it's
Very familiar.
Yeah, it is very similar story. In fact, like we said, when we said that, that was pretty similar to the time.
Yeah.
For people, but he doesn't have any idea that what happened.
Yeah, and that makes sense. when it's something that's that immediate,
Yeah.
that you don't see coming. It's not like you have time to think about what happened. That makes perfect sense. I firmly believe that this little girl probably suffered a great deal. I'm sure she was well aware of what was going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to believe those things go on, but, there was a story in the news just the last week or two about some witchcraft killings in Africa.
Yeah, well, there's that one kid that beheaded the guy because he was supposedly a Satanist. Right.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild. I just can't imagine. It just blows my mind that kind of stuff still happens. You go back to the history of this country with, the Satanist trials and so forth, and even before that, Europe and stuff, and even the beginning of this country where it was not even being a village, people were beaten and gutted and so forth and so on for belief systems. But it blows my mind in this day and age that this stuff still happens. I can't fathom it. I just don't understand it, I guess.
No, it's incredibly barbaric.
It is incredibly barbaric. And, I understand that other countries may not have the same thought process that we have, but you would think that at this day and age that type of thing wouldn't happen. I mean, why would you hang or kill someone for belief injury? I just don't understand.
Well, and the case in Africa in the last couple of weeks, the three were, I think, convicted of murder, and one of them was a witch doctor.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought that's probably odd that, a witch doctor, actually, I guess he was the leader of the ones who killed the three people through witchcraft.
And I mean, in a lot of these countries, you don't have a doctor just around the corner. I mean, witch doctors are the doctors.
Right.
I mean, and that's,
Well, apparently, I don't know if France is used this as competition or what, I don't know, but I didn't
use the evidence.
I'm the one who killed them.
Oh, you wasn't the one killed.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought was really strange.
Well, that don't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
Well, to kind of touch on something you said a minute ago, part of this book, or part of the reason I wrote this book, was for people to stress the point of understanding and accepting people for their differences. That everybody's different, and people shouldn't be judged on that.
Exactly.
In any degree.
Well, I mean, if that were the criteria, all three of us would be in trouble because we're all involved with paranormal stuff.
Well, and I've been accused or questioned about being a Satan worshiper because I am in paranormal, which again, this day and age, I'm like, what? Hello, where are you from? And I'm ex-military, and I think about, freedom of religion a lot. Holy crap. I'm seeing a little light, so I can't decide if it's right in front of me or over there.
We're in the location to investigate quite a bit, and usually it's active while we are.
Yeah, I've seen a big shadow walk around the front door twice, and of course you don't have a camera looking at that door. But anyway, so yeah, we think about freedom of religion, and we think about, that's what this country was built on, and one of our rights, and it's like, but you're not allowed to have it, and, some people feel like that you can't have, freedom. I don't understand that. Why would you even want to be in this country if you don't feel that everybody should have the freedom to do that?
Well, I guess that kind of goes back to, you see that through time with human nature, that hopefully over time you overcome those prejudices and those fears.
I agree.
Yes.
Amen.
Are you done?
I don't know about being lost in a house.
Yeah, he's in the mood this morning. So Rick,
Yes.
how did this case change you or your perception of the paranormal?
Well, this one became a lot more personal. It was probably the first really, not to sound cheesy, but it was really the first in your face kind of experience that I had. I'd started this paranormal team in 2008, and this happened in late 2009, early 2010. So we were still just a young team and weren't really that experienced. In fact, at the time, I couldn't help but question whether we were really the right people for the job on this one because it was so much more than we had ever experienced. When I originally started the team, just to give you a little background, I'm a very scientific-minded person, and my goal was to, like a lot of paranormal investigators, was to find proof of the paranormal, proof of afterlife, proof that in some way, shape, or form that we go on. And this case kind of changed my mindset from that being our particular goal to our goal being how can we help people and how can we help spirits to pass on to where they need to be. And during this case, I had all the proof I needed, and I realized that what's the point in trying to prove something to a skeptic who's never going to believe it anyway? I mean, there are people who, for whatever reason, be it religious beliefs or whatever, that don't believe in scientific fact now. So, if I can prove something to if I have enough proof that I believe it, because I'm very scientific minded, then that's all the proof I need, and I'm satisfied with that. So from that point, it's like, okay, the next step, what's more important than having proof of paranormal activity and proof of an afterlife is why are these spirits here, and how can we help them, and how can we help the people who are being haunted by them? So I'd say that's probably the main thing about me that changed due to this investigation or this experience.
And I can see that. I agree with that. I think that I can honestly say I've had experience with spirits since I was a child. I know John has too, but there are a handful of cases that kind of rise to the level that really remind you that there are bigger issues at stake, and you're dealing with spirits that the spirits are needing to relay something or trying to wrestle with their own situation, as well as helping the living who are dealing with it. And it's those certain cases that stay with you that remind you that I think that you'll never ever convince every skeptic as long as you can honestly say I'm being objective and I'm not just reading something into this. That's all we can do.
Right.
We can never force anyone to agree to anything. Yeah. That's a whole other subject, John. Oh boy.
Chicken bones and a cook.
So, what do you think? You think that the girl continues to visit, Do you think she's decided to stay then?
That kind of goes hand in hand with a theory I have or definitions I have. I think there's a difference between a ghost and a spirit. I think a ghost, which is something that we would think of haunting a location. I think a ghost is something that is trapped or bound to a specific plane of existence. Whereas I think a spirit, as like the spirit of your grandmother who may visit on Christmas Eve, and you see her in your dream or something. It's someone who can come and go at will. So I think that we helped her to transition from being a ghost into being a spirit, if you will. Just by definition. So I think that she didn't decide to stay. I think she is now has the free will to come and go, whereas before I really believe she felt trapped.
You kind of give her some structure. Correct?
What's that?
You kind of give her some structure, kind of something to, for lack of any believe in it, man. Where she did guide, guide her.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think there are entities that are kind of here because they feel trapped or they just don't realize that they can. And I think that usually has to do with the circumstances that most can come and go, and I think many do.
Yes, I agree.
And I think we tend to assume that they're trapped in a certain location or whatever, and I really don't see it that way. In fact, I've had discussions with people who said that they've had the same spirit visit them on different continents even, and I think it has much more to do with time, space, and energy than anything.
Yeah, and honestly, I think, when I say trapped, I really think that most of the time that these spirits trap themselves. And by saying that, what I mean, for example, let's say a person grows up believing a certain religious faith, following a certain faith, and at the time of death, they fear not going on to heaven or nirvana. They don't want to go to hell. So they are afraid to go to the light because they're going to see if they're going to have judgment day. So they choose to stay here. So in my opinion, they're trapping themselves because of their own beliefs.
I can see that. I also think that to add to that, I think some of them stay in locations just because it's familiar.
And that could very well be it's a comfortable thing, yes. Or because of family.
Right, and that may be. I mean, we tend to get a lot of evidence in our locations of they know each other is there. So, I think that, it's very possible that they stay in those locations because it's familiar, they have family there, and why move on, everybody's still hanging around. So,
I really feel that way. I don't know about you guys particularly, but as far as myself and my team, we've experienced probably the majority of our activity and EVPs have been those of children. And I really think a lot of that is children don't know how to move on or don't understand these things very well. And the comfortable place is with their family or their parents. They don't want to leave them. So I really think a lot of children stay behind for that reason. And I'm not saying that, and I don't want anybody listening to think that means if they've had a child that passed, that they're trapped here as a ghost. I don't mean that.
No, but I do think that there are entities to be a large number of children that do linger, and I think it is because they're longing for that caretaker. It always seems to be, a paternal or maternal figures that they seem to be looking for. We also did a lot of our locations and places that we investigated around here are Civil War related. We also did a lot of EVPs from spirits that appear to be soldiers or victims in the war. So I think it has to do with the kind of circumstances they pass under too, if they're more likely to stay.
I agree 100% with that, yes.
You're right. I think people who pass peacefully in their bed at 90 are less likely to hang around.
Yeah, I think, I agree, because I think people, elderly people, or people who perhaps have a terminal illness, things of that nature, I think they have the time to come to peace with passing on and to understand that it's coming. In fact, a lot of people say in their 90s, for example, or like with terminal cancer, they may even look forward to it. So not that they're wishing for it to happen, but they know that it's going to be a peaceful transition. Or if it's someone, for example, like you said, a soldier in a war, who may die tragically and have a wife and family that they, desperately long to go home to. So they don't want to transition. They don't want to leave their loved ones behind because they feel like their life's been cut short. Same way with a tragic automobile accident or something of that nature. Or a murder. These people they're not ready to move on. They've got so much left that they have wanted to do and planned to do. And, so I can understand that a lot of these kind of circumstances surrounding someone's passing can make the difference in transition and non-transition. I also think that faith has a lot to do with it as well, and I don't mean religion. I just mean whether they have a deeper faith in knowing that when they pass, that something better is waiting for them. I think people who lack faith in that kind of thing may also have a hard time passing on.
I think I can see that. I mean, spirituality, I think, plays a big part in that. Your belief structure, if you don't understand how it all works, or at least have a rough idea, you may feel trapped unknowing that you're not really. It's not, and I think that, you were talking about somebody that maybe got suddenly and that, not the places that they wanted to still go. I mean, in my perspective, from my spiritual standpoint, everything is energy, so after death, I'm just going to go over and hell
Well, I mean, if you want to get real deep, I mean, everything, literally everything is energy. Whether it's the table in front of you or, the soda can you're drinking out of, or your body, or a tree, or the stars in the sky, everything is made up of moving energetic particles. So, when we pass on, when our body dies, our energy is still somewhere.
Okay, the monster can be close.
I was just trying to make a point that people don't think of these things as being, any form of energy that, you can do a solid thing that, that it's, it is what it is.
Like I said, I mean, fire can change energy, change something so quickly, it's not even fun. So, and people don't realize that nothing is forever.
Yeah.
I mean, and even though energy can't be destroyed, it can change. It will change form, and as we move on, we change form, and we do other things. And I have a cramp in my calf, and it hurts.
Yes, And one of my favorite scientific sayings is that nothing is ever created or destroyed. It merely changes form.
Exactly.
And we hear a public events, and we go, and that's something we say every time.
Yeah. And, anybody who believes in scientific theory, that's just a basic. That's kind of a no-brainer for everyone. And if you believe that, how can you believe that when we die, that's it? We go on in some form. There's no question about that. But what is the form? We don't know. So that's the big mystery, I suppose.
And literally, I can remember as a child, and this is going to sound kind of morbid, but if you think about it, really death is the only thing that you don't know. And I remember as a child loving it and wondering about what happens when we die.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds kind of silly and morbid, but that's how I thought. I was always, unlike you, I'm kind of a little scientific and a lot spiritual. So there's, I try to use my brain, but I also realize that there's something that you just can't explain.
Right. Well, we just simply don't know because.
Right.
We can't explain it yet.
Yeah, because, to be honest, there's infinite possibilities. So, as energy cannot be destroyed, it can be transformed. We can't say in certainty what does happen. And so that's what.
Although I think paranormal research has brought to head some things that science hasn't been able to prove in some way. I think that, if energy, if we change forms and we go to energy, some of the forms that we've caught on camera or, whether it be full body operations or spirits or shadow people in the heaven, I think that proves some sort of energy change. Because that still exists. That energy is still there in some form.
Yeah, obviously, something's going on. And basically, traditional science just has not dealt with it.
I think it's coming. I see a lot of that on the pages on Facebook and stuff.
But, it's kind of funny because it's almost coming back around because these are things that people like Albert Einstein and Tesla were talking about 100 years ago.
Right.
And, we kind of got away from those ideas in science, and I think that they'll go back to it.
And I think anybody that's science from a spiritual standpoint, you're looping back around and where we started that thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
People are looping themselves back around to that belief structure, which kind of ties into the science of it all. So, and so McDonald's has sold 4 billion hamburgers since the time it started.
Think about it, back when I was young anyway, you watch shows like Star Trek and all these things on there were impossibilities. It was watching a sci-fi show. And now, 90% of what happened on Star Trek, we have in our daily lives. The communicators, the big flat screen monitors, and things like that, where you can talk to somebody and see them at the same time. Back in the 60s and 70s, when those things were on sci-fi shows, it was like, wow, wouldn't that be amazing? It was an impossibility, but now it's a common everyday occurrence, and I think eventually these paranormal questions that we have will be the same way. They'll just be normal. They won't be paranormal anymore.
I agree with you. Well, Rick, we're getting towards the top of the hour. I want you to go ahead and plug out where people can contact you, find your books, and get any more information.
Okay. Best way to contact me is you can look me up on Facebook, RickKueber. My whole team is there. The book itself can be found on Amazon.com. If you happen to be listening and are in the local Evansville area, it's also in the Barnes & Noble by the end of the year, if not shortly after the 1st. And I have the website for my team is currently under construction, but it is www.evansvilleparanormal.org. If you go there now, you'll just see a team picture, team photo, big letters that say site under construction, and there'll be some email addresses there if you want to contact us that way as well.
Awesome. Well, Rick, I really appreciate you coming on.
Great talk, man.
Really enjoyed it, and hopefully you'll come back and talk to us about the second book and give us just a few details.
Oh, I'd love to. I can't believe the show's already almost over. It's really flown by. It's been a pleasure speaking with you guys tonight, and I really look forward to hopefully doing this again.
Awesome. We appreciate it. And I guess till next week, everyone have a good week and join us next week for...
Oh, Terry Hartley. Terry Hartley, one of my dear friends and psychic, will be with us on the 21st. So, come on, we're going to try to have people call in and have maybe a couple of readings done. We'll kind of see how that goes. I'm on the road too, so it's going to be kind of fun to play out.
Yeah, it's not actually going to be on the road as we do the show, so there's no problem. So, tune in for the craziness. Yeah, thank you.
Everybody, stay tuned to the end with the radio.
Thank you.
Good night.